What do hedge funds think of technical analysis?
Some of them love it and some of them hate it.
Análise técnica. Alguns vivem em nome da coisa pensando que linhas de tendência, cabeça e ombros, suporte e resistência são a bíblia do mercado de ações.
Alright, a third way I'm different. I use technical analysis. Ooh, right?
E para ser justo, muita gente fez dinheiro no mercado somente usando análise técnica. E tem outro lado, onde pessoas acreditam que análise técnica é astrologia para trader.
Tem alguma dica para passar para algum novato?
Dizendo que não passam de linhas aleatórias no gráfico, tipo uma criança de 4 anos desenhando na parede com pilô. Mas quem tá certo aqui? Se você entrar no Reddit agora e perguntar se a análise técnica funciona, você vai iniciar uma pancadaria sem precedentes no sub. Mas eu não quero saber da opinião de um moleque de 19 anos no Reddit. Com todo respeito a você, Shin the Warrior. Quero saber do camarada que tá há décadas no mercado. Alguém que lida com bilhões de dólares em transações diariamente. Eu quero escutar um gestor de fundo de investimento. Foi exatamente isso que eu fiz. Eu vasculhei a internet em busca de entrevistas com gestores, algumas de 10 a 15 anos atrás. E meu amigo, eu achei ouro nas palavras deles. Editei os pontos que eu achei mais relevantes para que possamos de fato responder a pergunta: o que fundos de investimento pensam sobre a análise técnica? Então, sem mais delongas, vamos ouvi-los. A primeira opinião vem do Corvin Codirla. Ele é um ex-gestor de fundos de investimento e também foi trader para o JP Morgan. Vamos ouvir o que ele pensa sobre análise técnica. E em seguida, vamos ouvir as opiniões de outros gestores, incluindo o que um deles pensa sobre stop hunting e o que investidor pequeno pode fazer para sobreviver a esse tipo de técnica predatória. Um trader de algoritmos que trabalhou com alguns fundos de investimento e a opinião dele sobre suporte e resistência. No finalzinho do vídeo, vamos saber o que esse camarada aqui, que gerenciou bilhões de dólares, pensa sobre stop loss. Mas voltando ao nosso camarada Corvin, que quando foi perguntado sobre análise técnica, respondeu assim:
Some of them love it and some of them hate it, and I think you have to really specify what you mean by technical analysis. If technical analysis means optically looking at the chart and looking at heads and shoulders and stuff like that, it becomes very difficult to test. You see, you might look at this today and see it's a heads and shoulders, and in 5 years' time you might see something completely different, maybe a cup with handle. What influenced you to make those choices, you can't determine, you can't test. So as long as the thing isn't, you can't write it down as a set of rules that, you know, even a guy that doesn't speak English and sits in Mongolia can replicate, then it's not useful. There's obviously another set of people that say, well, it's more of an art than a science. And hey, if they make money, who am I to deny another poker player's place in the sun, yeah? So ultimately, that's the really great thing about trading. Regardless of how you manage to get that black number at the end of the year, that's ultimately all that matters.
Depois de ouvir a resposta do Corvin, eu concordo 100% com ele. O meu conteúdo é focado em sempre fazer backtest das estratégias que eu divulgo para garantir que elas funcionem a longo prazo. Qualquer estratégia testável tem que ter um grupo de regras específico. Não pode ser, quando você sentir que a tendência está virando, não. Outro ponto que ele menciona é, olha só, se está funcionando para você, mesmo não concordando com isso, quem sou eu para dizer que não funciona? Se dá lucro, dá lucro. Então eu acho que esse é um ponto chave. Não se deve negligenciar as ideias de mercado de terceiros só porque não estão de acordo com as suas. Em outras palavras, é importante manter a cabeça aberta para outras ideias de mercado. Nosso próximo entrevistado se chama David Paul. Ele é um trader financeiro e diretor do fundo VectorVest. O assunto que ele abordará é se a prática de stop hunting existe no mercado e o que o pequeno investidor pode fazer para se proteger desse tipo de ataque.
It's always looked upon as negative, certainly at the retail trader level. Institutional traders are taught from their first day that they buy good levels or they don't buy at all. Unfortunately, most retail traders will wait for some confirmation before they get in. That could be a candle pattern, could be a moving average cross, or whatever. Institutional traders will buy at the level. Now, most traders will put their stop loss a tick under the last low, and they will invariably put their stop loss at exactly where the institutional orders are. I think that institutional traders are just doing what institutional traders do, putting their entry points at very good levels. However, if you are trading at the institutional level, it's not always easy to get filled. At the retail level, if you want to buy 100 shares, you want to buy the pound against the dollar at a 5 or a point, you press the little button and you've got it. At the institutional level, it's not that simple, and you've got, on occasions, to actually generate the liquidity to get aboard. I don't think that anybody looks at where the stops are, but they will say to themselves, well, we know pretty sure that most of the stops will all be crowded around this obvious level. So they will bid the market at that particular level. All you need is one person to chicken out, and the markets are going to go where the bids are, and all those people will be taken out. If you do not think long and hard about where you're going to put your stops, that you're going to find that you can quite easily die in a sea of stop losses. And here's an exercise for some people. The next time you're just about to put a trade on, you pick up something heavy and you just go poof. And then you write down on a piece of paper where you were going to buy and where you're going to put your stop loss. Don't buy it, but put an order in to buy it at where you're going to put your stop loss, and then just watch how many times the market goes to your order. Markets will go to the obvious stops most of the time. And one of my rules is that I want to put my entries where the masses put their stops. If you don't get in at a good level, there's nothing that upsets me more than a guy saying that this is a very risky trade, I'll use a tight stop loss. That's just rubbish, because you'll get stopped out over and over and over again. The stop needs to be where the stop needs to be. So if your entry is sloppy, then your stop loss is going to have to be a red bus away from where you got in at, to give yourself a chance of staying in the move. The average true range will help with that. Most traders will look at a stop loss of 2.5 times the average true range or something like that. Nevertheless, if you want to get in with low stop losses at institutional levels, you've got to be brave. The institutional traders will use Fibonacci levels, they will use trend lines, they will use simple horizontal support and resistance levels to actually look for confluences to try and place their orders. Nothing clever, okay? Unfortunately, most retail traders, as I say, will look for some form of confirmation and their stop loss will then be too close and they'll get taken out in the nose.
O David aborda pontos bem interessantes. O fundo de investimento não tem como comprar quando bem entender. Diferente de mim e de você, eles têm tanto dinheiro que não há liquidez suficiente para que eles façam uma entrada na cotação que eles gostariam. Para que eles possam entrar no preço que eles querem, eles mesmos precisam gerar a liquidez necessária. Na prática, significa fazer o preço atingir essas áreas com amontoados de stop loss para então comprarem nessa região. Esse é o motivo pelo qual tantas estratégias bem-sucedidas usam de fake-outs e drenagem de liquidez, pois tem um monte de stops sendo ativados e você está operando junto com o pessoal do dinheiro pesado. Outra citação dele que eu gostei foi: o stop loss deve estar aonde o stop loss deve estar. Parece óbvio, mas você não deve colocar o stop muito colado à sua entrada só porque você não quer se arriscar muito. Se você está se arriscando muito é porque a sua entrada não foi boa, então vale a pena prestar atenção nisso da próxima vez que você entrar no mercado. A próxima entrevista é com o Mark, um trader de algoritmo que trabalhou em alguns fundos de pequeno porte. O assunto que ele aborda é se gestores de fundo usam suporte e resistência na tomada de decisão sobre a entrada de mercado, e a resposta dele me surpreendeu.
The question is this: if we are thinking of hedge funds, are they taking support and resistance into account before they're placing a trade or an investment? Now, it's important to kind of distinguish here what we're talking about. I would hazard a guess that hedge funds at the very top end, like your Bridgewater, like any kind of really big fund that's managing a massive amount of money, really doesn't care about this, because unless they've got a sub-fund that's very technical and small, which I don't think they have because they've got so much money it wouldn't make any sense, they don't care about this because their holding times are much longer, they're much more interested in different things, which we'll get to in a second, so they don't. But then when we go down to the smaller end of the scale, like people who are still running funds, the couple that I've worked with have taken it into account, because they're not a 100-man team, they're a small team managing a decent amount of money, but a modest amount when you compare it to the big guys, and the people in charge of making those trades may well have a decision-making process that is integrated with some kind of technicals, because they can do it, because they're not trying to move 200 million around. Then maybe they're moving 20 million around. around 30, 40, 50, that kind of stuff, which is small change compared to the billions up there. So if we look at this process, a hedge fund investing capital isn't going to care about support and resistance because they're looking for an edge elsewhere. Maybe they're looking for an edge in some emerging market that someone hasn't seen. Maybe they recognize that this specific currency is going to be devalued more against this because they've got information that retail is going to struggle here and the mining companies, all that, so they make a bet based on that. Now, they don't care about support and resistance there. Now, one caveat to that is that you may well get traders within the fund who are executing that may take a little bit of stock in terms of, and no pun intended, of support and resistance if they are manually executed. So say they've been given an order to buy X number of shares in this company. Now, it's their job to get the best possible price. Now, they may well just put an algo in, that just time slices the order, volume slices the order, and they leave it and they're off, they don't really care. They may well do it manually, and there may well be a trader who's looking at charts like us, who's executing it in batches, and maybe he sees the price at resistance and says, well, I will just see, I've got another batch to do, I need to do it anyway. Shall I just see if it backs off from this because I think that we might back off? In which case, then maybe they do. Is it kind of integral, is the word I'm looking for, into their whole system and strategy? No, it's not. They're still going to buy it regardless. As we go down, or up, should I say, it becomes less and less likely. Traders don't really care about that. They just care about getting the order done. It's such a big order that it has to be done regardless. And little things like that aren't going to make a difference. But as you come down the scale into the smaller kind of regulated funds, then yes, you can imagine that there's going to be some traders in there, and they may well be sitting there saying, well, actually, you know what, we're going to take this order, but we'll wait because we're hitting resistance or we're at support now. Maybe we should start to scale into the position. They'll still have to take the trade anyway, but it might mean that they adjust the order as they're doing it.
Então, Mark levantou ótimos pontos. A pergunta-chave é: será que fundos de investimento olham para suporte e resistência? Bem, os gigantes que lidam com bilhões de dólares, não, porque financeiramente falando não faz sentido para eles ficar analisando o gráfico por motivos de liquidez. Porém, os fundos menores por vezes irão usar do conceito antes de entrar no mercado. Supondo que o preço esteja nessa resistência, eles são instruídos a comprar essa ação específica. Eles podem esperar um pouco para ver se ela recua até o suporte para que eles entrem em uma cotação mais barata. E claro, eles vão comprar de qualquer jeito e podem se basear no suporte ou resistência para decidir quando entrar, mas toda a estratégia deles está baseada em suporte e resistência? Não, eles se baseiam em outros fatores mais determinantes, porém podem usar desses conceitos para decidir quando vão entrar. Nosso último entrevistado se chama Andrei. Ele é gerente de portfólio sênior no Citizens Business Bank e ele vai falar o que pensa sobre stop loss e como investidores devem implementar a técnica na operativa de mercado.
I am going to be a huge contrarian to everybody else who says, be careful, be careful, be careful, have tight stop losses, tight stop. The tight stop losses, I am certain, is the main reason why most traders don't make money. Because before a trade moves your way, it usually moves the opposite way because the people in the market they have to make money from you and they know they're going to close you out because most of you have tight stop losses, so you never get to make money. I would say if you're confident about a trade, don't have tight stop losses. Have a big gap between your stop losses. So if it goes down and it backs up to where you want, you're still in the trade and you're not taken out. I would say stop losses is the main reason why most traders don't make money, even when they get it right. When they know the direction is right and they still get taken out, it's because of your stop losses. I say, don't listen to anyone who says have really tight stop losses. If you are confident, don't have tight stop losses. You will lose money even if you are right in guessing the direction.
Are they ever a good idea?
They're good ideas sometimes, but then I would say if you're not sure about your trade, then don't do it. Don't do it. It's a good idea if you have a huge position that, over the weekend or whatever, some massive political event is going to happen, and by the time you can catch up with it, it's too late, you wiped out. So in that case, it's good to have a stop loss. But still, I would say don't have your stop losses too tight if you can help it. You have to judge where you are, what time of year you are, what's going on geopolitically, whether it's safe generally to keep your position open without tight stop loss. Stop losses, I would say, if there is a research done, that people would find is the main reason why when they guess the market direction right, they never made money, because they get taken out. And the people who run the markets, they know their game. They know if they go down, before they go up, they're taking you out.
Eu concordo 100% com o Andrew. De fato, depende que tipo de trader você é. Só de ouvir essa entrevista eu consigo dizer que o Andrew e o fundo para o qual ele trabalha são investidores de longo prazo. Portanto, realmente faz sentido para eles terem stop losses muito abertos, enquanto que um camarada fazendo day trade pode não querer usar stops tão abertos assim. Então depende que tipo de investidor você é, mas eu concordo totalmente com o mindset dele. Se você tem confiança na sua entrada, não há motivo para usar um stop muito ajustado. E para dar mais apoio a esse argumento, você somente deve entrar numa ordem que você esteja confiante em relação à sua entrada. No geral, depois de escutar todos os nossos entrevistados, parece que fundos de investimento usam alguma análise técnica. Eles claramente não se baseiam completamente nela, mas eles a usam até certo ponto, que eu achei bem interessante. Se você gostaria de operar no mercado como um gestor de fundos de investimento, mas não tem tempo ou não tem paciência para aprender sobre mercados, o robô que eu desenvolvi é perfeito para você. Ele foi testado por 4 anos e meio, incluindo aquele período daquela doença, e depois quando aquele país partiu para cima de outro, e se manteve lucrativo durante todos esses acontecimentos, provando que não só funciona a longo prazo, como também pode lidar com turbulência nos mercados. Se você quer saber mais sobre o meu robô, me envie um e-mail e eu te retorno explicando como ele funciona e como investir com ele. E não se esqueça de deixar seu like e se inscrever no canal para não perder os próximos vídeos. Valeu e até mais!